pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Let the roll show all are present from the Planning Commission. Did I hear say aye? Any citizen input on agenda items? Okay. Consideration of the meeting minutes from May. Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Rhodes. Anybody have a question? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Any correspondence? Very good. Old business. Sheets. Hello.
Hi, how are you? It's been a few months.
We're gonna find out, I guess.
Yes, that's true. So my name is Terry Dilo. I am with BL Companies, and I'm here today with some members of Sheets and Traffic Planning Design, who's our traffic consultant, to just kind of walk back through, since it's been a few months, the permitting process that we've been going through, what approvals we've received, and anything that's outstanding, because I understand that you want to have all approvals in hand before recommending anything to the supervisor. So I think at this point, we're just going to kind of walk through the site layout. We do have one modification to the site layout that we'd like to discuss with you and present to the meeting, and then we'll be reissuing plans or however you want to move forward with making the change. So since the last meeting, we've actually received our MPPS permit. We've also received with the joint permit because of the wetland mitigation area on the side. We've received, and I believe I sent copies of the DEP approval for the joint permit associated with the wetland reconstruction and everything going on for the stream relocation. What they ended up doing was for the portion of the stream being relocated through the site, we're doing the mitigation of by adding some wetlands in. So you can see in the gray areas, that's where we're going to be modifying and adding some wetlands to accommodate the joint permit. We've actually made the resubmission. We had a few minor administrative design comments for the HOP, which we resubmitted today. Eric can speak to that if you have any questions, but I believe that he anticipates within about 2 weeks we should have that approval in hand. So that being said, we also have received the willingness to serve letter from the authority and are just waiting for final HOP before we're able to give you the final package of permit approvals such that we can move forward with that. However, we did want to say that since the last meeting as well, and since all of that has been underway, Sheets has decided to actually eliminate the car wash that was part of the project.
Oh, I'm so looking forward.
I know, very bad news tonight, unfortunately. So you can see that this was the before, and this is kind of the after, where we're just taking the entrance and kind of cutting back off the car wash in the back portion of the site. It's a cost savings, obviously, when you get into value engineering. It's one of the things that they took a look at and evaluated. It also is going to save and allow us to have, it's about 1.1 acres of less impervious area that's going to be on the site.
You're gonna improve the site as far as that.
So, exactly, you're not gonna have as much impervious area that's kind of tributary to where this basin and subsurface facility is. At this time, we just received word that that was kind of the direction moving forward this week. So we are going to go back to the drawing board and see if we're even going to modify stormwater as a result of it. I think that the impact's gonna be fairly minimal to that system. But if we do have any impacts, we'll obviously be able to run them back through your engineer, because he has issued a letter, I believe it was several weeks ago, just stating that we had met everything with the exception of, I think, 3 conditions, one being the cost opinion, which obviously this needed to be worked out before we could prepare that, because it's a little bit of difference in how much volume will be presented to the township. And then some signatures and seals on some plan drawings after we made sure that everything was okay. And I believe a solicitor was back and forth with maybe an agreement or two that we needed to confirm as well. So other than those kind of administrative items, he was fine with the plan and everything else. So if anything, the reduction, although unfortunate for the community, I would imagine, is not going to impact the stormwater design.
So I'm looking at the letter from the municipal authority.
Mm-hmm.
So that gallons per day is going to drop. I know a lot of I know a lot in the car wash was recycled, but there was still some EDUs coming from the car wash, so that's going to drop. So
It was it's not a ton like you were saying, there was a reclamation system within the car wash.
Right.
But we've received the willingness to serve with the approval of the 12, I believe it is, additional EDUs, or the total of 12 EDUs. So what we'll do is just go back to them with the new numbers and actually file the facilities planning mailer module application with the correct number of EDUs on it. So
Okay.
that's the only outstanding item
So
there.
it's a reduction, so
Correct.
we're good. Okay.
The traffic impact study with the supervisors has been settled, correct?
Yes,
That's been taken care of on the
Correct.
supervisor level, from what I recall.
Yes.
yes.
So this evening, you were looking for,
This evening, when we originally came in, we were going to look for the recommendation to the supervisors, but when I talked to Mark, I'm not really sure that that's something, if you are willing to, with the presentation tonight, if you're willing to go to them as soon as we get the HOP permit in hand, since that will kind of complete the checklist items, I believe, once those agreements are also in place and the bond is posted. or-
PennDOT is already,
Right, we can't present anything next Tuesday with contingencies.
Right.
But tonight, we can say, we'll recommend approval contingent upon the planning commission receiving the HOP before next Tuesday, which is when the meeting is. Is that, I mean, is,
And that may be possible with respect to the HOP, just so you guys are aware, the way we handled it was, we actually submitted the horizontal layout to PennDOT. The permits unit was great in working with this project. We actually gave them all the horizontal layout. They approved that before we did the detailed design plans. So it was all laid out. We submitted in early May the actual formal plan set. We got the comments back the end of May. It was only 2 pages. It was primarily administrative. There was one very minor design comment that we cleaned up and got back in on the plans. What we were waiting for is the property adjacent here that's being acquired for the new access. We needed some paperwork signed by them, and we had to go record it. We actually took care of that today and got that back to PennDOT. I talked to the permits unit this afternoon. We talked through exactly what's going back in. He said, look, I anticipate this will take me an hour or 2 to look at, and we anticipate getting you the permit. So we know it's coming. It's just a matter of how quickly PennDOT will get it to us.
yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, that's the last thing I need.
did we go through the checklist? We almost have to do,
The only thing because we haven't gone through the checklist.
Right, right,
Because-
well,
this is a new plan technically, since it's been redrawn. I guess the question I have that raised a little bit of a concern, as you were presenting that, you mentioned that it could change the storm water, which would have to then go back through our engineer.
Potentially could change or could modify. At this point, it's up to Sheets if how you want to handle that.
Yeah, we're being briefed on, the change that would occur is that we could maybe reduce some of the storage volume that we have because we're eliminating some impervious cover. One thing that we probably have to consider is, since that change may not be significant, there's been the thought of just keeping the current NPDS design, stormwater management design, the way it is. We would technically be over detaining a little bit more, which is good for the discharge side of things. And we could proceed ahead the way the design is right now. And I think that we're probably more in that direction. I was, with this change, I was kind of figuring more of a larger magnitude of a reduction we could make to our stormwater management. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'm probably more likely to leave this the way it is and not modify that and proceed ahead with the design that's made now.
The date of revision on this plan is?
The one with the car wash removed today. We
okay,
literally
so
removed
these
the car
are,
wash. Those have the HOP design that he referenced incorporated into it, the change or modification for
Right.
that, but do not have the car wash eliminated from the site plan
Okay.
itself.
Small concern.
yeah, I don't, when will you decide whether or not the cost benefit to changing the stormwater is worth it?
Probably before the end of the week. I mean, she's gonna run some numbers just to come back and say, you know, there's probably nothing we can save you any dollars here, which was the whole exercise in eliminating the car wash to begin with. And you know, there was a thought that by maybe eliminating this, that we may be able to, maybe not completely eliminate it, but really reduce it. And I'm hearing right now, you know, just this evening, that that's probably, you know, before the meeting, we talked a little bit, and that's probably not gonna be the case. So, we won't mess with the design most likely.
Okay, how you guys want?
Well, a concern I have is, we've got a letter which I received, looked over, and I was really happy to see that most of the things from Larson Design were typographical in nature with the plan that was submitted and gone through, and Sheets redid this and redid that and took care of many things. My issue or problem, and the commission can speak all the same, this letter is dated May 25th, that we can act on, that he has reviewed the plan and gave it a blessing. This is a whole new plan, and he hasn't seen
And it's
it.
being submitted today.
It wasn't formally being submitted today, no. I mean, we can submit it by the end of the week, for instance, but whether that gives you enough time to run that through,
It
through your
probably doesn't
engineer
give it,
before
it
that
probably,
meeting?
it would depend on how quickly you could get it to Larson Design Group, and then how quickly they could get us a letter saying that the revised plan is good. So we're kind of hard pressed to present a recommendation without those two things, without the HOP, the actual HOP permit, and then a letter. I mean, Larson, because it's not an increase in impervious, and it's a decrease in EDUs, and you know, you may be at whatever 110% of the required stormwater, or whatever it turns out to be. I don't see it being a time-consuming thing for Larson, but that's a lot of contingencies.
We're still required to review what he has to say,
Right.
whether there's a change or not.
Right. But with that, then what we would have to do is the deadline is June 30th. So, I mean, the supervisors are pretty reasonable about granting extensions, Dave, especially since it's a new plan,
Okay.
a different plan. So if you guys wanted to request that, we can submit that Tuesday,
Okay,
and they'll grant it, and I shouldn't say that. They generally do. They understand how these things work out.
Yeah, and I think we always look at the Larson, or we say the Justin letter, but now we have a new guy, so I'll even,
Drew Barton,
Drew,
I'll give you his card.
we look forward to his gold star letter that cleans it all and gives us our protection as a commission to say, the engineer's done it and everything, and this being brand new today, it's up to everybody's opinion, but I personally wouldn't feel comfortable going forward until we see his gold star letter and everything looks great. I hate to put you out another month, but
no,
I think that's fair enough. I think the fact that we did make this change here, and it literally was the decision was made this week, I think that's fair, and we'll get plans back into your engineer, and I think we could probably, by the next meeting, I think Eric would probably comfortably say we will probably have the HOP permit in our hand.
Contractor-wise, I know you were talking about starting construction in October, and I still think you're very
still
well
ahead.
within that goal.
Yeah, yes, so that's what we can do, I can work with the new engineer, get him the revised layout and anything else that we want to modify as a result of that, potentially, ask him to coordinate getting a revised clean letter out, and then I can make a resubmission for.
And what was going to go, I lost my train of thought earlier, what's going to go where the car wash was?
What side?
Yeah,
We'll
it's
go back
gonna
to side grass.
Grass.
So
it sounds all good.
it's a reduction in
It's just a matter of
impervious
being
and an
legally
increase
correct.
in.
Yep.
Just because I'm curious, what took the car wash out? Cost benefit, ROI, or?
It was more of an ROI issue.
Okay.
It was, we went back and we took a look at, the overall cost now that we're almost across the goal line. And, the decision was made to do some value engineering on the site, and, believe that car wash package that we put in with all the controls and the insides of the building, the drive lanes, it's a significant number to the site.
There's a lot of maintenance to it too.
And there's a lot of maintenance to it, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're keeping the RV parking in the back too, so.
If I ever go back in the RV business, that'll be a good thing. All
Since
right.
Brent brought it up, is that still the same timeline, October tentative, off the record?
Yes, in fact, the way we had to schedule is that, the actual, I was just asking our construction department to move the start of construction, to November. We actually had it starting December. I'm trying to move it up in 30 days, but we will bid the project, mid-October. The park closes, I believe the 30th is about the last day. Would that be about right, 10:30? So we should have contracts signed, ready to go, park closes, and then it's diving right into it in November. So we're still in that time frame.
Okay, so what we'll need from today, I'll get you Drew's card from my office. We need a request for an extension, just shoot me the request so I have it to present to the supervisors. And we'll take care of that. That's all I have.
Okay, anything else for Sheets?
No, as long as you have any more questions.
Anybody here? Anything you'd like to say? Okay, thank you very much. I thought we were gonna have movies too.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody here for my check? Okay, we'll go back to that. If that's okay with everybody. Helfrich,
That'd be me.
that'd be you, okay. I have no idea what's what here, so Mark set it all up for us, which was
Let's
nice.
see, that would be, yes, this one.
Lebo,
Nope, that's not it.
Not bad.
that's the feast.
No,
This is my check.
show her best instead of playing sitting right in front of you. Look at that, huh?
Boom.
Boom. Probably oughta,
Oh, no.
You want to flip it over?
no, let's leave these folded.
Yeah, sorry.
The only reason is because I printed out a nice folder.
Since these are no longer any good. Surprise.
That.
Yeah, those are for me, so those are, and that's that paper. Okay, so
Well,
they're-
yeah, well,
Try to figure out the other for you.
Can I just slide this all down just a hair?
This is paper for that.
Now this one?
Take that one.
Did you, you have the deed, right?
Yeah, they're in that stack.
Alright,
And I did talk to Bill Breyer, that is no longer involved in this subdivision. Bill and I are taking care of that.
so he said,
Rich Corson, I've tried to get ahold of Rich, I haven't been able to, but Bill and I are taking care of that. It's now a separate issue from this.
so last time I was here, we pretty much had everything wrapped up besides getting the non-building waiver signed. Mr. Lash gave me the paperwork to get Mr. Breyer, the SCO, to fill it out. When he went out to site, he realized that the quarry had new buildings and a septic and a well out there that he thought was on the Helfrich property. We found since out and actually located it, that information is now shown on the plan, and they are actually located on Bear Gap Quarry's property. So he's gone ahead and actually signed the paperwork and has sent it on to DEP.
Right.
But otherwise, everything else was completed based upon the last 2 times we've all sat and chatted. It's actually been a while. Missed you guys.
You're smooth.
Trying.
This one, I think we did check this.
We did.
We didn't check, was the only thing that left was the,
The waiver, 1 inch to 200 feet, and the deed was needed.
The deed should have been done.
that was it, the deed. Yeah, the little deed issue, I know that.
Yeah.
yep, I sent to, I know, because we weren't sure how many copies you needed, so I sent 3 of them.
Yep. Okay.
So the deeds. The waiver we can grant, is it planning commission you can grant that waiver?
Otherwise, you just pass.
Yeah,
it.
because Todd had mentioned that.
Yeah. So do we need a motion on that?
We will have to run that through. Let all the members here take a look and see. Can you propose to the members here to change that? You had a little bit of a property line difference now, correct?
Nope. Property lines haven't changed.
The
Only
location
thing
of the
that
buildings
changed-
was not correct.
Yeah, the only thing that changed is we added these buildings, the well, and that septic. It's just, got a red pen. Everything definitely black. I don't.
I have a blue.
Blue works. The only thing we changed was adding this information right here.
Existing structures.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Everything else is exactly the same as when I was here last time.
Refresh my memory.
Okay.
What we're doing is taking a parcel,
Correct.
the whole parcel as you see it. All these lines are currently existing as one big parcel of ground, correct?
Correct.
And we're adding this to separate it into two different lots.
Correct.
Okay.
And the way that this was established is there's an existing lease agreement between Bearcat Quarry and Helfrich. And what they want to do is just actually just chop that lot, the property along that actual lease line. So now they're both just separated and keeping the stuff that they're leasing from the quarry, its own tract, and then the homestead on its separate tract. Excuse me.
Yeah, that waiver was already granted.
Was it? Okay.
This section of road that cuts through lot number 2. Easement for that.
There's a public right of way on that now.
Okay. Covers that.
Okay. And this dumps out to,
They go right out in front.
54,
54.
at the top of the.
oh, Quarry Road, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a public road. And it dies right about here, it goes into their driveway, correct?
As far as what we can see and all the information we found, it comes up in here somewhere and just ends. Nobody knows exactly
As far
where.
as their house and the rest of the road was up to the Grove, as far as I know.
I was gonna say, is this where we were up with?
Yeah, it's
The road
really
is up there.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Where I
that's-
didn't get invited.
You got invited?
2 days after the fair.
Yeah.
You chose?
No, I was up there before when we had.
But at least he said he invited them. He didn't say the time frame.
Yeah.
We invited everybody.
Okay. And this, what you added,
I wasn't either, so.
is, it was a good time from what I heard. But these existing structures have nothing to do with the properties in question anyway.
None.
so
No,
The issues with those are being addressed by Bill and Steve Belsky and I separately. They're no longer involved with the plan in any way.
when he told me that, I cheered.
They've solved that problem.
Comments or questions from the commission?
Are there more of these? I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
gonna steal one from over here if you don't mind.
We do have a conservation letter.
Okay.
We do have the deed. So the last thing that did Bill give you an idea how long it would take for us to get the non-building? Okay.
All I sent me was an email saying,
Non-building declaration for.
saying it was,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I was here.
so he signed it and mailed it off.
So just so you know. we get-
Okay, and this has a time extension until July 11th. So,
So you're looking at,
so if we get that, if everything else checks out, we're here. If we get that before the 13th, then that would be the question that we would present. Do we want to recommend, does the board want to recommend approval as long as we receive that non-building waiver by the supervisors meeting? If not,
And that non-building waiver is coming from whom?
DEP,
DEP.
Okay.
which they have 90 days to review it, and of course,
Now, you're saying to us that you talked to someone and it's in the mail.
I talked to Bill Breyer, the SCO.
Okay.
He has signed it, he has sent it off to DEP.
Oh, to DEP.
So it's in DEP's court, they have 90 days, and as we all know how that agency runs,
You have the non-building waiver, just a little 3-page form?
yep,
Yeah, it's in the,
I was gonna say, I don't think that's usually reviewed by them, he just sends that off for them to acknowledge, right? I don't think they actually.
because when we have
There's
built-in
one, you
signs,
just signed one for me, and you just mailed me
Yeah.
the original back.
yeah,
But usually once everybody signs it, he has to send it up to Amy up there just for her records, but she doesn't actually act on that.
right.
see then, I mean, I can call up there and check. What we would need then is, we have the copy that everyone here at the township signed, and then I sent back to Bill, but we don't have Bill's signature on it.
So I need a copy with Bill's signature.
Yeah, right here, request for planning waiver, non-building declaration. We got all the signatures, including mine and Debbie's, but we don't have Bill's. So if we can get a copy of this with Bill's,
Would be good to go.
so we would have to get that by
Next Tuesday
next
morning.
Tuesday. If we don't have it by next Tuesday, you're gonna have to request an extension because the extension expires on
Next.
July 11th, which is the day of the next supervisors meeting, after the June one. Supervisors meet July 11th. Well,
So technically, the extension would be required for us,
right,
but I think they should request it anyway.
right. And then if Bill can get that to me, well, the question is, do we want to, we had your notes on what we needed, we got 2 of the 3. Do we want to make a motion to recommend approval next Tuesday as long as we get the copy from Bill, with Bill's signature on it? And if we don't, then we would need a request for an extension.
Right.
I prefer to stay out of this one since I wasn't even here when we
Okay.
went through the checklist, so.
Appreciate that.
I was there, I think, for the introductory one, and then that
Check
had,
for this.
that had the wrong township on it, the first version. Oh,
No, you were the second one, the third one, I think you and I both
okay.
looked.
There's really nothing ventured, nothing gained in here in that respect. If the letter's not there by Tuesday, they have to request an extension.
Right.
Yeah,
So all
In
mine.
fairness, like,
One time.
I don't have an issue with it.
One township, I mean,
Well, you wanna do it as,
We can't sign anything.
we need either the letter or a request for an extension by next Tuesday.
And if that would come between now and next Tuesday, to submit this to the supervisor, we would have to come into the office and sign off.
Right.
But I believe
well, mainly
it
the.
Well,
only
now-
has 2 lines on it.
Yeah, and Harvey and I are here, and Vince is here. So,
It only has 2 lines on
actually, that's
it. Not yet.
technically,
Not yet,
no, that's all that's required now.
Yeah.
but yeah, but.
It's going to be the
I
full,
know,
the full
that's
thing,
why I'm
yeah.
saying not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
What are you changing that?
There's
It might be a
process
month or
of
two.
changes, just
Oh.
because they wanna have all the signatures on it,
Yeah,
all 5.
so I'll throw this out there and let everybody decide what they wanna do. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval contingent upon receiving the non-building declaration, a copy of it with Bill Breyer's signature. And if we don't,
I mean,
we need a request for an extension.
Motion made and seconded. So we have a contingent approval. Looking at the date of, let me turn the calendar over there.
Should have.
June 13th. By June 13th, that we receive a Bill Breyer letter for extension to the supervisors. Anybody on a question? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So,
And Dan, are you abstaining?
Yes. Okay.
One extension.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so this.
Two, all right, do not take the other one first.
Then this is those, this is that.
May I inquire, why are you're switching to require all 5 signatures?
We're switching to put the lines on for all 5
Put
signatures.
the lines on for all 5
Why not just allow the chair of the planning commission, chair of the supervisors to sign off once the motion's approved? Less,
You have to ask Todd.
okay.
Hi, John.
Okay, so this,
I like to have more people to blame than just myself. Thank you very much.
we are spreading liability.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, these are mine. This is yours. Okay.
So
So
this,
then you have to decide if you voted no, but it was approved.
Well, that came to mind as we were sitting here. Is it all 5 signatures or those who were present for review?
yeah, well, someone who wasn't here for review, you know, Dan abstained.
Right. You can't sign a permit you didn't have say.
So I defer to Todd.
Yeah.
Even if they had all 5 signatures.
I'm not sure how we worded it.
Oh,
Useful
they wouldn't
recommendations, Todd, I don't feel like I should bring another one up at this point.
If you abstain from voting on it, why would you abstain?
All right, I assume you're here for Lebo.
Yes, Lebo and Peace and Mr. Court is with me tonight, so if it's okay if you let Lebo first, I'll leave your stuff down.
Oh,
I'll give you yours next time. All right, so Lebo subdivision, I was in last month, talked about this as a sketch plan. And, you know, we were discussing a number of the different issues going on with proposed ordinance changes. Can I should read it?
just want you to stand up so that I can get
Plan hasn't changed last time. What we were trying to sort through is just how much land to give the church to try and make sure we are accommodating any future ordinance changes. Other than that, it's a relatively straightforward plan. There's residue being left over here, not building anything there. Carving a lot out around the existing house, giving a chunk of land to the church, giving a chunk of land to their own adjoining farm. So there's 2 add-on lots, 1 new conforming lot, and just the residue of the tract. There's a number of buildings out there. There's a barn across the street that's currently sitting, you know, right up across the right-of-way even. Again, we're not proposing any construction as part of this plan. However, for Mark's benefit, when we do come in for zoning permit, stormwater review for the church parking lot, I did show what they're currently planning on doing, just so he can see, you know, when he goes to do his review on the setbacks and such. I also count what the impervious would be. There's no current impervious requirement, there's building coverage only. But I put that on again because sort of anticipating that there might be someday in the future.
Where does that,
do that?
what is the coverage percentage?
Uh,
If the church does exactly what they want,
Yeah, so, just read my paragraph correct. It is currently impervious cover of 40.54% on the church lot,
okay?
okay? After the proposed expansion of the parking lot and the addition of the add-on lot, it will be 25.3 total, including, I think, sorry, that'll be 25 in the new lot, 33 total overall. So I've given them the land, even with the expansion, it brings that overall down.
Well,
So we're hoping that that's gonna fall in line with any proposed ordinance changes that happen there. But at any rate, that's why that's on there. Just help you guys with your planning, since we are anticipating that will be proposed as a zoning permit at some point. I don't believe we did checklist, because this was just a draft plan, it didn't have everything on last time. But we do have your signature blocks on here tonight, our owner info, our benchmark, our zoning data, all the lot numbers and acreages, bearings and distances. So unless you have any questions, I'll hand the plan over, and you know, we'd be seeking a preliminary and final approval because it's just a minor, not major.
And from, again, like I did in the last group here, your original tract is all of this.
Yep, all that dark black.
That's
line.
original.
Yep.
'Cause And you're just proposing
So we're proposing adding a new lot one
lot
here.
1 to here.
Yep, that's
Correct.
add on lot 1 to that,
Okay. Lot 2 is,
right here. And that's all this area in here, okay? It's all add on lot 2, it's going right here.
there it is,
No.
lot 2. And this is gonna be added on to
To here.
Lebos.
Yep,
Okay, so they're buying this section here.
yep, and it's all farm field currently. And they're taking it right over to the hollow. They currently have, what's called tile drain in the fields, that runs to this hollow. That's why they're keeping that section of the hollow. I believe it's a sister is getting a house, she doesn't really want the hollow, and they don't wanna have to easement themselves, you know, limits them a little bit on doing the required maintenance, on the drainage.
Right, so what are we in here?
Yep, this is all existing.
Right.
And it's 79 and 101.8.
Okay, and then over here we have additional.
121 additional over there. So the proposed lot has its required frontage there, which is 200 feet for the Ag Forest District. This is add-on, that's add-on, and this is residual, and of course it has plenty of frontage there, but we're not reducing this width here or along there.
Dan, is there a stack of paperwork over there labeled?
Do we have all the copies we need tonight?
Yes,
You want one
actually,
off for me?
this is
So I
legal.
wanted to make sure you had a copy there.
These are all the signed copies right here. And Mark, you should have, I had to email you the deed. Because I dropped all these plans off today and realized that I didn't give you a printed copy of the deed.
When did you email that?
Oh, 2 weeks ago,
Let me
the day after I dropped these plans off.
Okay, let me go check, because here is the request for non-building waiver, and that is signed by Bill Breyer.
Yeah, we should have the signed copies,
See if I can
one
pull it
here
out.
and one there to go through.
We also have our approval from the county.
Okay, I don't have a copy of that. With a copy of that.
With me.
Usually Debbie gets that right to me. How long ago? Oh,
That came at the end of last week.
okay.
I assume that when I get rid of it, you do too.
Have it? Debbie's pretty good about that. Let me go and get the deed. You guys wanna start?
So everybody gets a good look at it, let me know. You should have this. As soon as I get this filled in, guys, we'll start out.
See, I sent it to, I think all 3 email addresses I have from Mark, I just don't know which one is going to have.
Maybe he's in there printing off.
I just reported it to him, so we should.
up a long night tonight.
She went out last. She's out at 12:01.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for Mr. Lyons to get back here to start, gentlemen. That's all right.
I also made a very crucial change on these plans and put the signature block at the bottom of the page so that Debbie can get the crimp seal up over the edge.
And this gentleman is with,
This is Neil Courtney. He's with me for Fee Sketch. He's the gentleman who's going to be running the auction.
Oh,
As we talked
very
last
good.
time, you guys said you'd love to have him here and ask some questions and get some more background, so.
now is it Yale Feast, right?
Yeah, Gail Feast and Lynn Gish.
She's still over in Media Way?
Yes.
I was familiar with her mother.
Yeah, Lynn's over at Courthouse, but Gail is nearby. But I think they're over maybe towards Little Mountain. Is it Little Mountain or Big Mountain? I think they're a little bit over that.
When we get to that, I want to ask my questions.
Josh, what are the wetlands that you call out?
There's a stream that runs down through the property. You can see there's a floodplain here, and center line of the stream is that triple dot that runs down the center. It's the center line of the stream. So, if you look at the National Wetlands Inventory, it shows up as waters, and certainly you look at the floodplain map of the township, you'll see it on there too. And we're not dividing the creek up.
Good. I feel better. Just because I'm curious, these notations here in light,
It's the soil types. They have to be on there for DEP, anti-manure and sewage.
what are they again?
Soil types,
Oh, okay.
you have to put those on there.
I don't know if I've
So
seen that.
Mr. Breyer. And again, it's not his requirement, it's just,
Okay.
it's part of sewage, even though we're not doing anything new.
I wouldn't have seen that before. There's that many different types of soil types right in that area?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
So, I don't know how accurate the county soil maps are, but, I mean, they change every couple hundred feet. Especially-
Ely'sburg's probably shale.
But yeah, see, they also split the soils up by slope. So,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
with 3 to 8, 8 to 15, 15 to 25, and above. And so you'll see like LEA is all LE soil with shallow slopes. And then LEB will be that 8 to 15, and so on. So you can get a number of different ones just going up a hill based on slopes.
You go around and see if he's, make sure he just wants to print that off or. Any comments or questions while we're looking at this?
Last time was a sketch plan, so he didn't make the final.
Yeah, he's looking for approval tonight. I still like going through the preliminary checklist because there's a lot more information on the prelim. That should be on
We
it.
didn't do it from there, so you have to.
Right.
The last time was a sketch plan.
Right.
We didn't do anything.
And the minute we don't wait for Mark, we'll have a question for him. How it goes.
You should know.
He's getting close. He was pointed out pretty well. We're training him pretty well. He's getting there.
Is that really north, straight up and down?
I refer to Dan on that.
It's just magical how that happens all the time, but the north arrow is straight up and down.
Well, sometimes tended that way.
Who did?
Patrick has merged, he lived up, his family lived up on Chestnut Street. You know where Chestnut came up in Springfield to real steep where Kleckner's lived,
Mm-hmm.
then it jiggered down to Chemung, I think it was. They lived in that corner house there. He was a young guy, he was 44.
Yeah, I think, 10 minutes a week over back then, it's just that, but after the last week, 49.
Was that or was he from Catawissa?
Everybody's saying, for some reason, in one of the papers, it said Catawissa. He listed Paxton as up in Jasmine.
Oh,
And
okay.
he put an addition on his house. He did faculty and painting and stuff, originally from the Philadelphia area, had 3 kids, his son just graduated,
Oh, no.
was going into the military. But he went out and drove the truck to go to work. Had a heart attack in the driveway. He put the addition on the house, he put the lower level for a shop for him.
He worked for you?
Him and his wife did split up.
It's a shame.
He keeps saying Catawissa, but I know he doesn't like me. Absolutely positive he doesn't like the military. He should look in a which river said Paxton, and that would be correct.
It's a shame.
Yeah, he was this week house.
He's alive, he's doing fine.
Is he okay?
He'll be right over.
I have to call the ambulance guys?
That's the county letter for Lebo. The deed is on page 3 of 6 or so, pretty well.
Is he using the old?
He was getting the
Catholic
last of the letters
school?
in place, and he had half a meet, and was just gets the rest of the letters, and the rest of them up there.
What do you used to call them for?
Mimeograph.
Mimeograph machine. Boy, when I get called to do that and help the nun, that was awesome.
Sniff it.
I plead the fifth.
I sniffed it.
I never inhaled.
You're breathing in close proximity, but you never inhale.
I like the smell of it.
And we're still alive today.
Good.
And Josh, what was, I don't know if you have just the waiver, what was the contents of the waiver? Just to refresh my memory.
I didn't have a waiver request on this one. We had the sewage non-planning waiver. It's a 3-page form that says, hey, we're doing add-ons and existing systems, we're not doing any sewage planning.
Deed, I just noticed in the walkway, or the front yard.
Okay.
The non-conforming there, because there's existing buildings that are in those front yard setbacks. And that's why I said we're not proposing any change, but I still noted that there's an existing non-conformity on the property.
Okay, preliminary plan requirements, depended by a surveyor, engineer required by state law, developer shall incorporate a street numbering system. Non-applicable. Engineering plans for the lot should be drawn on a scale not greater than 1 inch equals 10 feet, 1 inch equals 100 feet, shall be 22 by et cetera size. All good?
They're good.
Engineering plan shall contain at least the following: name and address of the developer, owner together with the copy of the deed, which we have just by airmail received. North arrow scale and date, dates of the initial plan preparation and dates of all subsequent revisions. Name and seal the engineer or surveyor responsible. Good. Location map showing the vicinity in which proposed development is located. Tract map showing the entire parcel, the area subdivided, the acreage remaining after subdivision. Criminal boundaries. All good? Yes?
Truck map's right here.
Okay. We have residual or residue. Noted?
Yep. South side of the road.
Okay, so this is the,
Okay. And we have the acreage is 16.04 after subdivision, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, no. Yes. I'm sorry, they both were saying that.
Okay. Field survey topo lines. Yep. Dan, do they have a benchmark?
cited in the notes,
I heard one was mentioned.
Flash markers right here. If you look at the northeast corner, it's
Yeah, benchmark.
and that.
Yeah, I saw you call it out. in the notes.
Okay. All good? Number of acres in the original track, number of lots, zone classification, type of proposed development. Consecutively numbered, yes. Existing and proposed property lot boundary lines, including building setback lines, information concerning lot dimensions, lot areas, location of any easements. The length of existing proposed building lots, boundary lines, there's 0.01 feet, bearing should not be shown there. Second, year of closure of the boundary survey, and of the proposed lot, streets, right of ways shall not exceed 1 foot and 15,000 feet.
So we do have the building setback lines on here, as well as all the proposed variance and distances. Dan had a question, I just want to note it for everybody. There's the existing nonconformities out here. This house is in the front yard already. There's nothing I can do by this conveyance to change that.
Can't move it back a couple feet.
No, I can't. I was asked to.
This
but I
plan,
didn't.
this goes back to that same thing, this plan does not add to the nonconformity.
The location of all existing and proposed streets, information concerning right-of-way widths, types, okay. Existing and proposed, okay. Location of any existing body of water, floodplain areas, streams, river water courses.
There is.
Anything in regards to sanitary sewer lines, water mains, fire hydrants, overhead, underground cable utilities, storm sewers, culverts, bridges, railroads.
We don't have anything proposed, but we did note the 2 existing septic fields for the church and for the house.
Location of any parcels of land either existing or proposed to be dedicated, reserved for schools, parks, playgrounds, public, semi-public, or community purpose. When a preliminary plan is submitted as support for a larger subdivision, that is an A, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 1, signature and seal of the licensed land surveyor. Signature and seal of licensed professional engineer, if there's any improvements.
There's not, but I do on good measure.
You're getting gold stars. A space for the township engineer stating the stormwater management plan was reviewed.
That's an
That's an A. Signed notarized statement by the owner certifying their ownership.
And that'd be these roll-up plans.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Executed signatures.
Okay. Space for the approval of the chairman and secretary and the planning commission. Okay. All right. Cross section for proposed streets, right-of-way cart paths, that's an A. Street information, including right-of-ways, cart paths, final dimensions, bearings, drawings, proposed street names, profiles along proposed streets, horizontal curves, length of tangents, curb, vegetation, curbs, and topo lines for those streets. All that is in A. Plans, profiles, proposed sanitary or storm sewers. Plans, profiles, proposed water distribution. All preliminary design information on sanitary sewer signs shall be submitted in accordance to chapter. Okay, we have none of that, correct, gentlemen? Preliminary designs for any bridges or culverts. No bridges or culverts. Okay. All right, location of existing sewerage and water supply system. Information related to type of water supply and sewerage to be provided. Information related to adjacent property, building, sources of water supply, streets, right-of-way, streets, you showed that to us there. 4 is when planning a subsurface disposal. That is NA, correct? It's all existing. Distance to the nearest sewage treatment plant information as it presents to future accessibility in terms of time, finances, and load capacity. That is not an area that is accessible, correct?
Nope.
Proposed building restrictions and deed covenants. And a statement from the developer stating he will seek final approval. Erosion and sediment control plan prepared in accordance with the Pennsylvania DEP. Stormwater management plan. This is just a subdivision.
Yep.
Final plan.
Is there a shorter checklist for just the minor subdivision?
We always go through all the preliminary, just to make sure all the blocks are there. That's really what is more safeguarding. Okay. Submission that you're submitting it within 2 years. This is the first time. There's no modifications. 3, plan, let's see, final plan will be prepared for only a portion of the approved preliminary plan. Again, in A. Submission of the final plan, all documentation shall be submitted, distributed in the same manner as prescribed. All the plans have been distributed and all, we have the appropriate documentation. Improvements in A. Action on the final planning commission, that's on us and the board of supervisors, and 7 also. Requirements, signature block for the preliminary, okay, that is there for the planning commission. Updated material from the prelim plan, this is a final. Seal or stamp of the engineer, we said is there. Certification of licensed engineer and or surveyor in accordance with state law. Final plan shall not be approved until improvements are installed in A. 3, materials submitted with the final plan included on 2, deed restrictions, copy of deed recorded drawings and specifications, if any, record of improvements installed, such detailed recorded drawings, specifications shall show drainage facilities, unlocked storage, water supply systems, etc. We did all that. 3A, certification completed and registered engineer. All approved revisions, inlet grates in A. Okay. This is all improvements and improvements, so A and A. Any comments or questions by the planning commission on the Lebo subdivision?
Did this not need to go down the pipeline?
No, Pat's not in that position anymore. I apologize if I still have his name, but we have their letter of approval. That's actually asked you guys about, do I have to have them sign before the supervisors, or since we have their approval letter, it would be beneficial to go down to Sunbury once, get them to sign, and then take it right to the recorder.
I mean, we do have complete with no comments.
Okay, so Northumberland County has agreed there's no comments.
Right. I know you talked to Debbie. You guys weren't bringing 2 recorded plans back to us, or you were leaving that to your client?
She was asking me about the Verano plan.
Right.
And I just asked her, is that always a requirement? Because when I get all the signatures, I go to the client, I tell them, you know, where to take them from there usually. Otherwise, they're paying me an extra couple of hours of driving around. So, yeah, I'm just not usually the one handling them. So if you're missing anything.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, that's the problem. Over the years, we are.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I don't mean, you know, just recently. I mean over a long stretch of time.
yeah,
But that's the last thing to close it out. Is
Right.
we get back two copies. You know, you go down to the Northumberland County Planning Commission, they sign,
Yep.
register and recorder, and then we get one plan that goes in Debbie's and one that goes in the map room.
right.
So I think we're gonna have to start Debbie's gonna have to start including that in her letter.
Of approval.
She sends out a letter saying, you know, your plan was approved by the supervisors on such and such a date.
Yep.
I think she's gonna be including that, you know, please be
Yeah.
advised that.
Right.
You know, the township needs, in order for the process to be complete, the township needs 2 copies of the deed after it has been recorded.
Right. So going back to my question, once we have the clean letter from the county, is it imperative that they also sign before the supervisors, or can we save the trip and go from there to the recorder after the supervisors?
When the supervisors look at this, I'm gonna have that letter sitting right over there with me.
Right. May I just add, I don't want to cause extra headache.
I don't know, that's up to you if you want to roll a dice, but I will tell you that if it doesn't go your way, we'll know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, what would you guys, you know,
Doesn't matter to me, I think in the past it has.
It has, but
I know with Verano,
us
I
having a
ran
letter,
down in
right?
the week between and got them signed
Yeah.
and bring it back. Just
I think to save yourself the trouble,
Okay,
I
that's
would,
fine,
but-
and then I'll ask at the meeting.
yeah, that's a question worth asking, because like I said, I mean, I've got the letter here signed by Jane Gogler, who does all of these reviews.
Recorded, they have to sign it.
Right,
Or can't be recorded.
right. We'll find out. I mean, it's up to you. Is it worth a trip down and get him to sign it?
I
Probably, and then ask-
email Blaine and Steve for me if they have any problems with it. So maybe I'll just say it's
Yeah, and, I'll see, and then we'll,
I'll check with them.
but it's a question worth asking.
Again, when I present it to the supervisors, I can also tell them you do have the letter.
Like I said, I mean, it's just, it's one less headache of running down there in the week between always. Like, gonna go down right after anyhow.
What's the pleasure of the planning commission?
Motion to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Rhodes. Anybody on the question? All in favor, of saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? So ordered.
If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to give you an update on the fee skip subdivision now. Neil, would you like to stand up and introduce yourself real quick?
Gentlemen, I'm Neil Courtney from Hassinger Court County, and I think we, Mark and I met one time to kind of preliminary look over this.
So, I'll go through, give them a quick update, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you for any questions they have on the auction process.
Sure.
We brought the plan in last time as a sketch plan to start getting your feedback, because it's a little bit different than what we normally do.
We got feedback.
Yes. The main question on the ordinance was making sure that we label who these lots are being conveyed to, because the ordinance says you have to say who they're going to. So we have added that to the plans as part of this. The other comment, which I couldn't really address, but maybe Neil will give us some input on, is the property line going across the pond. So that is still there as was shown previously. So where this is at right now, we've sent it into the sewer authority to request a will serve letter that they have capacity for the proposed hookups, and also to get his approval of the sewer design for the laterals. We have a review letter back from him that I'll be addressing before their June meeting. We've also sent it down to Drew Barton for stormwater review. We did a typical lot control for one of the lots to show, do this system, and you're approved up to this impervious each lot. As I understand, he actually just sent a review letter back
Yeah,
that I don't have a copy of yet. So, you know,
Well, I have to call
Unfortunately, I can't
tomorrow
really discuss that with you
about
right
4
now,
or
but-
5 things, so that's just
Okay.
the 5th or 6th thing.
so yeah, we'll, I'll be looking through that over the next coming days as well to address any of his comments. We submitted to the Conservation District on the same lot showing typical ENS controls. You want to build a house and driveway, this is where you need your topsoil stockpile, here's your disturbance, here's where your silt fence needs to go downhill of everything. I've not actually heard back from them yet. They are in a little bit of a slowdown because Mike McCleary was out. He's the guy who does the review, so DEP was covering. He is back in the office, I believe, as of a week or two ago. So if I don't get it from DEP, he's probably giving everything back to Mike and saying, hey, I didn't get to this while you're gone, now you catch up. So I'll be looking for a letter from them as well. It's also going down to the county shortly. I had some plotting issues that I couldn't get my plans under the latest software year to be printing correctly. So there's a little delay getting down to the county. So that's where the other concurrent submissions stand. We're now looking for a recommendation tonight. Wanted to come in, give you an update, tell you that we tried to address the major concern by labeling where the add-on lots are going. We also added the note up here that if any of these lots end up being conveyed contiguously prior to final, I will erase these lot lines and write them as one single lot, rather than a building lot and an add-on. That'll keep your township records a little bit cleaner. With that said, I know you guys have a lot of questions about the parcel auction. Where has it been done before, so how's that work? If it's okay with you, I'd like to let Neil stand up and put him in the shooting gallery, you can fire away.
Oh, maybe they don't have any questions.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Neil first? Maybe that's better.
Yes.
Start.
I do, and here's what. Now,
I have lots of questions.
You guys are showing, for example, that this is gonna be conveyed here. Okay, that will have to be conveyed too. What if Dino and Joanne bid on that?
That's where your
There's a
note,
note on here that
You know,
they may change prior to final.
okay, see,
But if not, then they're on there and that's, how they'll stay.
so, we'll get this, some form of this plan after the auction?
what,
We're only gonna be seeking preliminary approval for now. Once the auction's there, whether the whole thing sells or none of it sells, if we proceed, you also have a final subdivision plan. That's one that ends up getting recorded at the courthouse, and that's the one that is required before you can actually write a deed.
Let me start from the beginning, and correct me if I'm wrong from last meeting. Were we all here last meeting? We were all here. I thought we gave instruction to say, go out and have your auction and bring us a plan back that looks much better.
Your instructions were that you would much prefer that.
Right.
Yes.
So why are we doing this now? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm a no.
Is there a particular section of the ordinance that makes you a no, or?
I can tell you personally, I can't give you a preliminary approval with my vote to say, well, maybe somebody will buy this and maybe somebody will buy that one.
your ordinance, I think your ordinance specifically states that the add-on subdivision lot, we must have someone to convey to. And we met that ordinance right here, right presently.
Right.
When we move away from that, the only thing that can move away from that is if we convey to someone different.
I go back to my original question. Why didn't we do the auction first and bring us a plan that looks much better than this?
So our first preference is always, if we can get approval meeting the ordinance, right? That's a better product to sell. I explained to you guys last time, if we do no planning and get no approvals, no review comments, I'm coming back to you, I've sold a bunch of lots and we have no idea if that works.
Exactly.
So if I can address the ordinance concerns, which, the biggest concern was, we're doing ordinance checklists, we don't have labeled who a lot's being conveyed to. If I can do that instead and still meet the ordinance and get an approval so that we know we're not selling lots with no idea if they can actually be approved that way, that's always.
I'm confused as to,
I see where you're confused.
this is one big lot to me because you're doing an add-on by showing me a drawing like that, so why not just make one big boundary?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly why. Because at the end of the day, this is the pie.
Right.
At the end of the day, the pie is sold. Unlike a real estate auction, a real estate private treaty venture where you as a developer own this piece of ground and you say, okay, I'm gonna sell you this piece here. And I'm gonna sell you this piece here, I'm gonna sell you this piece here. And we do that over the course of a year and a half. What's gonna happen here is it's all gonna happen in one day. Okay?
Right.
When we come up to do this auction, we're gonna say, we have 9 standalone lots. Okay, this project right now is 9 standalone lots, and I color coded mine so it's easier, but it's.
Well, how come you didn't do it ours?
Yeah, well, I don't have my color coded. Okay, we have 9 standalone lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all meet the township ordinance, 9 standalone lots. Now, whatever we do with the rest of this, based on your ordinance, is your ordinance now states that we have to say who it's gonna go to at submission. And we're telling you who it's gonna go to at submission, because at the end of the day, when we hit final approval, this guy here might buy this. Now, there are, in this particular subdivision, there are 9 standalones, there are 6 add-ons, okay? There are 15 outside adjoiners that can participate in the auction, outside adjoiners.
Right.
Okay, those people are flagged that they can only bid on something that is against them. So we can do an add-on per your subdivision ordinance, okay? Anybody else can do any combination in here they want to. We have a computer software program that says, we put this map on the screen, we're gonna take the standalone lots, we're gonna get a bid on all the standalone lots individually. Then everybody always wants to have a little more ground for a little less money. the first acre, we always know the first acre is the big money, or the first lot is the big money, the first approved. And then this guy wants a ball field for his kids, and this guy'd like that one too. So our computer software program says, here's what we got to sell. You cannot bid on these 6 lots unless you are buying a standalone lot with them, or you are an adjoiner on either property line. That's real easy to keep track of, okay? At the end of the day, the process is done. The only change might be, instead of this lot being added here, this all might go together. End of the day, somebody might hold their hand up and buy 15 pieces.
I was just
And
gonna ask.
then they're gonna come to you, then they're gonna come to you and do a new subdivision.
What if a big
plan.
money
You
guy
get the
guy
rest-
comes in and says, I'm
you-
buying the
yep,
whole thing?
Yep,
Then
and
we
you get the
wasted our money
revenue,
on this,
and we wasted our
but we
money,
won the day because they got the best dollars for the property.
but we're doing value added is what we're doing here. There's lots of interest for joiners. But for me to go to my client and say to my client, sell this piece to this adjoiner, or sell this guy half an acre, I'm potentially ruining the possibility of someone coming in as a developer and doing high density here. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo. I've done lots of multi-parcel auction. So at the end of the day, some guy might have to step up to the plate and pay close to retail because he got chased by everybody that had a chance to chase him. And at the end of the day, I have to present you a plan for a final plan that says, this is going to this is going to this is standalone, this is going up here, and I have to conform based on your preliminary approval. But for me to auction something that doesn't have preliminary approval, you know, all the attorneys are gonna be sitting back there going, oh my gosh, I don't wanna draft any conditions for this, we're all gonna get a lawsuit. There's nothing in this plan, as I see it, and I've studied this a little with Josh, that does not meet the ordinance.
What was the
Well,
methodology?
these add-ons don't meet our ordinance, they have no frontage.
But they're add-on lots, and your ordinance has a provision for add-on lots.
But the stumbling block there, and this is my interpretation. This is, and I don't mean this offensively,
No.
but this is a dummy plan.
This is,
Meaning, this is kind of a,
This is a potential final. This
Right,
is a
but here's-
preliminary plan.
here's my question. Why not redo this plan? Present a preliminary plan that does not have the non-conforming lots. But then when you auction it with these, and then come back with your final showing the actual.
Run that by me again.
Okay.
You're saying,
Give us this that meets
you're
everything.
saying tack all the residue on.
Tack all the residue onto something. Show us a preliminary plan that's conforming.
You're still trying to sell lots with absolutely zero approval.
And then I'm gonna come back to you, and there's something you're gonna say to me, oh, well, I can use this for an example, maybe, and that's why I'm asking this question, is let's address the issue of the pond now.
Before you go there, through your explanation, I can understand where you're coming from. I'll say that. You can't go sell something
Right.
that isn't somewhat permissible at the township level. So I understand, you're trying to get at least approval of something that could be sold
That's correct.
at an auction, lot by lot by lot. So I guess I kind of understand that a little better. I think Dan's got a great question.
I was just gonna ask,
Go ahead.
what, if any, methodologies were applied in determining which lots participated in the conveyance?
Run that by me again, Dan.
So-
Why do we have these labeled the way we have them?
Oh, we have
Yeah.
labeled this way to meet your ordinance.
You know, darts on the wall,
Yeah,
or
no, we have labeled to
certain
meet your
ones
ordinance.
certain ones made more sense?
Our engineer,
We're trying to meet the letter of the ordinance.
our engineer, which is what, when I get sent you guys the thing, our engineers reviewed it and sent a letter back saying, attach this one to this one and this one to this one. Does this meet his suggestion, I guess?
Is that in?
I haven't even looked at that.
Yeah, I didn't get copied on his review letter of June 1st, so I haven't seen anything in it. Is that what it was in?
I thought the cliff notes reflected at a high level, in theory, just why don't you lift this line, and now you have one contiguous parcel instead of
So-
conveyance. And again, I don't wanna,
And-
see, I
and the reason-
dedicate again, I don't have a memory of passing that letter or not.
And the reason we do these lines the way they are is so that we get adjoiners.
Mhm.
Okay, this guy's a player on 2 lots. Now, just so you guys don't get indigestion, I did one of these up in New York with 19 lots. That was before they decided that the auctioneers had to be a broker up there also in New York. But up there, you drove down the road, you drove the stake in the road, you drove the stake in the road, you drove the stake in the road, you drew a plan, and then you did the perk test and all the other stuff that goes with it. It's almost scary to think about. But this is an absolute no-brainer that these are all gonna sell, because we know we have players on everything. And the guy that buys this or the guy that buys this, he's gonna buy this field back here. Now, this is a perfect, and I don't wanna insult anybody, but this was a perfect piece of property for flag lots. And Ralpho Township does not like flag lots. So that's why we're where we are.
Okay, here, comment 8. Labels on sheet 1 state the following. And then it lists add-on lot number 10 to be conveyed to lot 5, 11 to be conveyed to 3, 12 to be conveyed to 6, 13 and 14 to 9, and add on 15 to lot 1. These labels make it so all non-conforming lots could be removed and a boundary line should be shown around a single conforming lot.
Is there a recommendation with that? Or I guess the last part was his
The
recommendation?
last part was his
That's what I
recommendation.
thought I read.
Right, so that's what, any contiguous proposed lots
Yeah.
shall be shown as one lot on final plans and written as one legal description. To get sort of the crux of the issue, if I came in here and showed this exact plan, but these were all going to existing adjoiners, and I labeled it as such, we wouldn't have any discussion at all, right? We would say, you've met the ordinance, you labeled who it's going to. By being, pretty forthright about exactly what we're hoping to do and how we'd like to convey it, we're sort of introducing a question that's not really covered in the ordinance, but like I said, if we go back to just, if each one of these was going to somebody outside of this property, and the label was pointing to them instead, we would just simply do what's
First
the
one
ordinance.
was definite, what you're showing us is a what if.
That's true, but, my dad's project is a what-if currently, because I haven't gotten it built yet, The ordinance, I don't think, allows us to deny on a what-if. I understand it can be a little bit aggravating, from your side of the table. But that's why I started off, we're trying to give you guys more of a say up front before we start trying to chop stuff off and send it away. At the same time, trying to meet the letter of the ordinance that you're not approving something that opens you up down the road. I'm not 100% sure if it meets the intent, but I feel very confident it meets the letter.
In the end, they have to come back with a final,
Right.
and then we have to approve the final, so the preliminary is, like I said, it's a preliminary. As long as it,
Yes, if final doesn't fall into line, obviously it's not getting approved.
Right. Being in the business world for a good number of years and being in the sales pitch business for a good many years, I guess my question is why, I know you have interested parties, at least my neighbors across the street, and he would have bought the whole pond.
You got that right, and I want him there.
Right.
That's why.
But why not do this line to a property pin that conveys the simple property line of the adjacent properties to make it more conveyable?
It's much more conveyable the way we have it, is what I see. Because as an add-on per the subdivision, anyone that adjoins the property can convey this lot to, okay? And so therefore.
Oh, you're exposing them to.
This guy can buy this,
Never mind.
guy can buy this, guy can buy.
Okay.
It is, I'm.
Okay.
it's hedging the bet.
I'm with you
If
now.
only one, if
I'm
only
thinking
one
one way.
adjoining
Yeah,
property
no,
owner
and
can buy
the
it.
problem that we run into all the time when I do this, every time I go before the board, they think of the concept of we're dealing with a real estate agent and we're selling one at a time. Okay, at the end of the day here, either the Gishes are going to own a conforming lot with add-ons, if they don't sell, or all the add-ons are gonna be conveyed to somebody, okay? There's nothing, these 6 lots here, I can't let these 6 lots, your final approval won't let me not convey those to a standalone lot or an adjoiner. That's simple.
And so we try to take away the possibility that something doesn't go right to auction, it's already labeled on this plan. If that happens, this is who it goes to.
Yeah, the gift is
If I
gonna
want
end
your
up keeping,
final, I've
but that's not
agreed
gonna happen
with
here.
those lines.
This thing's gonna, this is a nice piece of property.
Okay.
And this is actually done on-site.
It's done on site. Yeah, there'll be a TV screen, 4-foot TV screen set up. This plan will be on the TV screen. And we get these bids here, we put them on the screen, and then we say, is there anyone else that would like to buy any combination? Okay, any combination whatsoever. And then the combinations start flying. This guy here, he got on this piece, he's an adjoiner, and it starts out looking like an auction, okay? It's looks, tastes, smells like an auction because we do boom, 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 boom. But after we get the numbers the first time, then somebody can come back and let's say this piece is 30,000, this piece is only 10,000 because it's an add-on, that's 40,000, and somebody decides that they want to add it to this one, 30, 60, 70, you just keep adding the numbers
So you
together.
could be the high bidder on a conforming lot at one point in the auction and not get the lot later in the
That is
auction.
correct, because someone else can add this to it.
And then outbid.
And the guy sitting at the computer says, okay, you come up to him and you say, well, geez, I want these two plus this. What do I have to bid? 30, 60, 10, 70, you gotta bid 75. So now he bids 75. And this guy said, well, I want this lot, I'll bid 40. So now we have 40, 30, 10, 40, 70, 80, now he's gotta bid 85.
So
At the end of the day, the pie is sold.
so you do one lot at a time though as you go along?
We do one lot at a time, and then, let's say for some odd reason, this lot nobody kinda likes this lot, this add-on piece, we're gonna find somebody that's gonna hang it on to. It's gonna get, one of these people are gonna put some kind of number to have a bigger backyard. That's human nature.
You have to get pre-approved to get in this auction?
You have to be pretty
No,
brutal.
the really neat thing is Neil sets up his grill and hands out free black diamond steaks, anybody just shows
No.
up, you don't even have to bid.
We typically do,
Catherine, you there?
on a sale like this, we typically do give hot dogs. No beer, I know it's North Arlington County. And one quickie, just so we can address this line through the pond.
Yes.
When I go home tonight and go across the Susquehanna River, I think my county starts in the middle of the bridge and your county starts at the other side of the bridge. So I'm not sure how that works addressing the pond. That would be my approach.
Well, I think what Vince was asking, and I'm curious too, has everyone gotta be pre-approved?
They don't have to be
Do they have to
pre-approved,
put up a bond?
No,
A bid.
they do not have to put up a bond to bid. They bid and they give a 10% non-refundable deposit. Now, as we look at these, I can change that verbiage on these to make them put a bigger deposit on anybody outside the development. I can do anything with the terms. Okay, I can say if you're one of the 15 people outside this development and you buy a non-conforming lot, your deposit's gonna be 25%, non-refundable. Okay, so I can change the terms for these people from these people.
You ever have somebody bid and win the auction for that lot and not be able to get?
I've been at this 30 years and I sell millions of dollars worth of real estate. So yes, I have had people that walk from deposits. That can happen, okay? Anybody outside the development's gonna settle in 30, anybody inside the development's gonna settle in 45.
And that's the same thing that could, technically happen with Levos, if the church for some reason doesn't give them I don't actually know if they're buying in that case, but,
In that case,
we end up scrambling to figure out what.
We scramble, I have to come back here with all the signature blocks full, or you don't have to sign the plan.
oh, I mean, in that case, if someone can't come up with the money, then how do you?
We renegotiate with another, the beautiful part about multi-parcel auction is, once I go around, at a regular auction, you and I are standing out there, you bid, at the end of the day, I go home and I say, which guy was bidding when? Okay, you understand how that works. But at a multi-parcel auction, once I get the number down, I record every bidder who was in the lead, okay? And the time, it's timestamped, and the name, or the bidder number of that person. So I know what the pecking order is. So then you work the pecking order if there's a problem. The chances of having a problem with a non-refundable deposit.
But even if that happened, the person would have bought, no, not necessarily, I was gonna say the person would have bought what ultimately would become a conforming lot, but if somebody outside that boundary bought one and then defaulted on it, let's say, Dino bids on this.
Yep.
And he wins the bid.
Yep.
And then he says, never mind, I don't want it.
Right,
And everything else is sold off and attached to
Yep.
something.
okay.
You're gonna go to what, this guy, and these guys?
And we're gonna have to do a little scrambling when I come back to see you, but at the end of the day, something's gonna happen. Because this guy, I'm gonna have his feet in the fire so hot, that he doesn't wanna walk away from his deal. Okay, because we can sue him for, you can sue the guy for not settling.
Is there language on the property that states that if one non-conforming lot doesn't sell, the whole thing's null and void?
No, because the non-conforming lots, they can't sell, because I can't come back to you with a plan that says, here's my final plan, please sign it, and I have, sorry.
No label as to who that's going to.
All I need is a preliminary plan that says for you folks, you got the signature blocks all full, and you bring it back, we're done.
I'd be interested to know, I would think that must have happened at some point in the township. I mean, I've done a number of add-ons with you, I've never had one where the client came back, because they're mostly family.
Yeah, I've never had one
come back and
fall.
said, hey, that final plan, they didn't buy it, what do I do now? I have an add-on lot that's not conveyed because they didn't give me the money.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't
didn't
know if
have,
that's ever happened.
how many lots total?
There's six add-on lots,
Yeah, but what I'm
and there's
saying,
9 standalone.
so you have 15 lots with a perspective of, what, 10 buyers?
Oh my goodness, no.
Or,
The numbers are staggering. There's 81 potential owners right here inside the development well, there's 81 when you do the 9 times 9, and then the numbers are staggering in here. There's 15 outside. 15 that can compete for 1, 2, 3 lots. As I look, I have them color coded so it's easier for me. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 lots that are gonna be people that could compete outside the development. Okay, the rest of them are gonna be people that are buying something in here. And we're gonna let them pick up as much puzzle as we can, but we need to have something to work off of. And we need a preliminary plan that says, if you sell it, looks like this, and convey a lot, it works.
so worst case question is, that lot right in the middle doesn't sell, what happens to the rest of the buyers?
What happens to the rest of the buyers? Number one, you cannot bid on it at the auction if you are not bidding on a conforming lot or an adjoining.
Auction's
Okay?
over,
Auction's over.
and that lot hasn't sold, what happens to all
No,
those
it's gonna
buyers?
be sold. It'll be sold. It'll be sold.
As of
You
right
show
now,
me the book where it
Ultimately,
guarantees
if you
that?
have to give it away, it's gonna be attached
I
to
didn't say
something.
that.
pardon me.
I know as an auctioneer, that's not what you wanna hear, but ultimately.
I didn't say that.
My label would stay the same. Lot 6 just got a bar.
So, I'm just,
That's the absolute worst case. But as soon as you advertise to somebody, as I took
I
last
know,
time,
I-
I'm not-
hey, guess what, if you guys
I'm
don't
not
buy
out
these
here-
add-ons, somebody's gonna
I'm
get
not
one
out here to
today.
hang a planning commission out to dry.
Well, no,
I
and-
never do that.
and our position is to look at these books, but also protect the buyers, but most importantly, protect the township from any litigation.
That's right.
That's
And
important.
here, end of the day, it's not like picking a piece up. At the end of the day, it's gonna go away.
So that's the big difference from last month.
I
to
agree
this
with you,
month.
but I'm saying, worst case scenario, but
And do you understand the guy that wants to come and buy the whole piece? And obviously, you have a buyer that you know of that wants the whole piece. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I figured that out. Okay? I'm just gonna make him, my job is to make him come down. That's all.
At the end, you're gonna add up what all the bids are, what all the winning bids are, and you're gonna tell them if you want it, you gotta beat this total.
You gotta
these
beat this total, and then as soon as he beats the total, Okay, let's say he puts 10,000 on the table, and he beats the total. Say, ladies and gentlemen, the bid now, and the screen will flash one color, all lots will turn up the same color, because there's one bidder holding them all. Boom, okay? Now, he raised the bid by $10,000. Any one individual, or any combination of any individuals, can match the 10,000, and he's out. He gotta come back home again, he gotta come back in again.
You have now people all up there.
I'm telling you, if you watch me sell this, you will come to
What day
me
is
and
this?
say to me, I didn't set the date yet, so you guys give me more one. If you come and watch this sold,
One I'm
you will
coming
look
for.
at me and say, it is the fairest way you have ever seen a piece of real estate sold. The little guy gets a chance against the big gun.
One, I'm coming for a hot dog. Two, I wanna see this stuff.
Just to be clear, any plan
Can I
commission members
stand
have to
there?
pay for the hot dog. It's right, so.
No, yeah, oh my gosh, yes,
Bring your own hot dogs.
B-O-H, bring your own hot dogs.
To bring it back in here.
No, I don't see where you're gonna get in trouble here. All I'm looking for is a preliminary approval that says, Mr. Courtney, you bring me back adjoiners that are gonna buy everything that's here, and don't let me, any lots that are non-conforming, not sold to an adjoiner. That's what I'm asking for, that's all I'm asking for.
They're gonna bring back a plan that has to be.
Do we have an application?
Not yet.
Okay.
So,
So,
yeah, we
my,
did.
my,
Yeah, you
my,
have the applications and checks in.
my personal thought, okay, my personal thought, this is just personal question, or personal thought here, is number one, has our solicitor seen this for comment?
Yeah, Todd was at the last meeting, that's why I specifically came to go over that sketch last
Right,
time,
right.
so that he would see it.
Right, has he seen this?
I don't think he's seen what the additional labels. I did, I told him on the phone that I addressed it that way, but no, he has not seen it.
The other question I have is the letter from Drew that gave all these suggestions, okay, it is dated June 1st. Have you covered all the punch lists that he asked?
No, I didn't see this letter at all, so we're not asking for
Oh,
recommendations.
okay, that's
why I
right,
gave
you didn't see this.
We're
No,
in
all we're
everybody,
doing
trying to get
here
all
is-
those approvals
yes.
for July.
Yeah, we wanna hand this to you in July with everything done.
So yeah, we're not doing checks.
Well,
Kick us out of date.
the first thing just send me a request for an extension. Because this is dated 4/28, the application.
It'll be May, June, July
Yeah,
28th.
yeah, I'm just, no, we can wait till July.
Yeah.
We can wait till July.
Okay,
Have we addressed some of the concerns last time? by
not
putting
yet,
in-
I got the golden question.
Okay, I have the golden answer. I don't
How
know
many
if it's
years
the
have
same
you been
question.
doing it?
How many years have, I've been in the auction business 30 years.
Real estate?
Yes, I've been
Land
selling
auctions.
real estate for 30 years. The multi-parcel auction came our way when we booked the sale in New York, which had maybe 19, maybe 21 contiguous lots, gonna do the same thing. And we were sitting in the office and my son looked at me and said, Dad, you're fast on the numbers. You can add, subtract, multiply, and divide in your head like a computer, but you're over your head on this one. And I sat down, looked at it, and I thought, I need someone to design a software program. Got a guy to design the software program for me, and I've seen remarkable things with this. You know,
Okay, so you got 30-plus years of auctioning in real estate, okay? How many half of lakes or ponds have you sold?
how many have, I've sold a lot of properties, I've sold a lot of properties where the property line went to the center of the stream.
That's not my question. A standing body of water, a fairly large body of water, how many have you sold in half?
Let me think about that. That question I'd probably have to go back to my books.
I'm sure,
What?
I'm sure. That's my,
And I
everybody
understand that,
knows
and one of the
that's a grave
things,
concern of mine.
the way to address that is in the terms and conditions of in the agreement of sale. We can write an agreement in the sale that neither of the parties that own the pond are, number one, responsible to maintain the pond, and number two, it doesn't have to be there forever.
Well, I think what Harvey brought up last time is he's actually more concerned about who is gonna maintain it. You know, if there's something that happens, he doesn't wanna see from the township's end, one person on one bank saying, hey, they're not maintaining the bank on the other side of the road.
Yeah, and I think the last thing you want to put in writing is that an existing pond doesn't always have to be there, because DEP,
Right, yeah, they might not like that.
DEP might, you know, I mean,
So-
they might have
so-
something to say about
This
that.
isn't the end of the world. keep that one in there though.
My concern, and I think the board knows this, Dan and I have talked about this around the campfire, but my concern is 50 years from now, we have two owners that absolutely hate each other.
And it happens.
And there's a failure, and.
At this end,
And we
where the water
know,
runs out.
well, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I pretty much know where that's gonna go if something drastically happens. Who's responsible? And he's gonna say, well, some of that water came from his side, and it's gonna be a legal battle, the township will be involved,
Then let's do
and
this.
it's a real
I'm an
nightmare.
easy guy.
Because now you've conveyed ownership and liability to a individual.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And I'm not making you do that,
No, no,
I'm
no,
just
no, no.
saying,
I'm just saying if that's something that's gonna make you not get indigestion.
it's
I
up to
don't
the rest of
want
the
indigestion.
people here too.
No, no, I don't want you to have indigestion, but,
I mean, that would be the simplest.
yeah.
Okay.
But I do want this, I wanna keep this line like this.
Because I know this guy
Recreation
here,
easement there too, if you wanted, that
Yep.
it's owned by one person completely. But if you wanna keep the value of selling the lot,
And the other
give
has,
them a
access.
recreation easement where they're allowed to walk over onto that property.
What you're ultimately doing, and to respect the vying people against one another to yield a higher, this person has now a higher vested interest, should they want any part of that, to go after it,
to go
so
after both
By the whole
instead of
thing.
one.
what I think you're ultimately doing there is,
No,
The
no,
reason to keep this line there is to expose that lot to two.
that is correct, that is correct.
so if somebody wants that
You
corner
guys are
with all
really
the
fast learners.
well,
All I'm saying is, I think you're actually
here's your other,
behooving in
Yeah,
the process, if you will.
it's really,
And it gets full
it's
ownership,
passively
liability,
problem.
yeah, no, and I
everything back
understand
on
where you're coming from.
one individual.
This existing little pond here, I haven't been there.
You don't really know this
It's-
property.
Well, I live right across the street here, but, and my son has gotten in lots of trouble back here at this pond. But the existing pond is a koi pond, decorative, from one of those folks up front.
By the way, this is.
So there's a lot of mess
this
going on
And
here,
this
but-
is not.
And
a
then
good
it trespasses
It's
on
not.
private property.
These two
Yeah,
people
that's-
here are not
Put
adjoining,
employee in there.
just so you don't get heartburn.
Are not adjoining.
These two people here are not adjoiners.
Right, this would be Mary Ann, right next door to me,
Yep,
and then.
these two people are not adjoiners.
Right, because
They're out of the equation.
They're
This
out of
is
the
a-
equation.
this
We're going
development
here.
came out of a right angle here,
Yep.
so that's a common corner, so there's no, it's a
Yep.
0 foot.
It's a 0 foot.
And the
so
koi
these are-
pond is Jeremy Garrett's.
Is that the-
Yeah, and I know that they had gotten permission actually from the landowners, so it's
Yeah.
something we talked about.
He
They-
wanted
they
to
have
buy
to-
that years ago.
I know you're gonna end up, you're gonna have Garrett and Kranzel's going at it for this. I know that for a fact.
So, I think it's a good day for.
Not that's any of my
sellers
hopings,
and-
but,
Yeah,
Just
no,
gonna-
and that's how it
Um,
works. That's how it works.
so I think Todd needs to see it, I think we gotta get a gold star letter from Drew stating that whatever.
Having Neil here tonight, adding the fail-safe labels on here. From a planning commission, you need all the other approval letters, but have I moved the needle a little bit in trying to clean this up for you guys?
For sure.
I'd say so from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is just a preliminary plan, it's not final.
Well, and having you here was a big help, I
Now,
appreciate that, thank you.
Just so we understand, just so we all understand each other, the preliminary plan, once you approve the preliminary plan, and there's lots of planning commission, you hit the stamp on the preliminary plan, okay? What we're saying here is, our lots are gonna stay the same, but they might need to be conveyed to somebody different, because that's what we have in our cut block in the corner. But nothing else, you can't come back to me and say, we're gonna make a change here, here, here. The preliminary says, if I meet all the criteria, signature blocks such like, the final is approved.
Well, one of the things with this, I mean, there's the stormwater. And I know, I have no answer to this. Is a reconfiguration of the lots, ending up something other than this, and Drew would have to answer this, do I now have a potential for a required stormwater change?
Right, so.
See what I mean?
Talked to Drew, we looked at doing the stormwater as the max impervious on the whole property. Which we thought, that's crazy, we're gonna be talking a giant basin if we assume that they're paving all the fields. Or we do a typical design, if you go up to 4,000 square feet of impervious, you do a basin of this size, you know, with the outlet as shown and reviewed by Drew, then you're good to go, you know.
But you're talking
You have
about
to do
on-lot
stormwater.
systems.
Right,
That is correct,
So-
so the cost goes up. The cost goes up per individual lot, because our stormwater management is gonna be per individual lot versus,
So your NPDES,
there is no impedance that's concerned with the conservation district. Because we're not proposing any public roads, they're going to consider each lot separately whenever they happen to go in. So this is the full set that was sent to Drew. I told you I had some plotting issues. All right, cover sheet, this plan. This is just the existing features out there with the pond and everything else. I just want to show you what Drew's letter, all right, he has a full set. We showed, so what if you build a house here? You know, what do you need to do to be allowed to build this house and meet the ordinance? That's what Drew's reviewing. So this is sort of a cookie cutter thing that can be put on each lot. Stay within these parameters of driveway, house size, and you do this stormwater design. Drew's already looked at it. Now, you know, Drew's, hopefully, he's going out there, you know, as people are putting in improvements, verifying that following the subdivision plans. I will say, I don't think Justin was ever out, you know, when my stormwater went in at my house, but, so that's the typical design there. And the details for that,
That's similar to the lady next door to me, if you're listening to that corner. But
I know what you mean,
those
man.
trees there.
that's what we're looking at. It's a 2-foot deep basin. And then along the driveway, they do a stone trench. You have a driveway going downhill, you know, you can't just put the gravel on the slope. Every 2 feet in elevation change, you put a new little clay check dam in there so that the water actually sits in levels so that it actually acts as a basin. So that's specified to go all along the driveway. You put a 1,000-foot driveway, a 10-foot driveway, you have the same, you know, you have a basin size accordingly. This is sized for the size house you put in, all right? Everything's designed so that the roof leaders tie in and go right to the basin. So again, they're set as to how many square feet of house you can put in. If they want to do something different, as with anything, if they're going to do something different than what's on the plan, they got to come back to Drew.
okay, here's nothing to do with the plan. But I am today literally dealing with an issue with these on-lot systems. And here's the issue, and it does, actually, it's pretty straightforward. We have a subdivision in the township that use these on-lot systems. People are buying these lots, and when they come to me for their building permit, I'm saying, okay, I'm doing all the paperwork, your driveway permit, your on-lot, Bill Breyer's approving, and I'm saying, okay, and your on-lot stormwater, and they're all saying,
What?
what?
Yeah.
And we're talking $6,000, $7,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
My, and Todd and I have talked about it. For us, the solution is, somewhere on here, it has to agree to show those stormwater control requirements on the deed.
I can do that.
So that when they get there, so that,
So they,
you know,
so there'd be a recording note that as the deeds are drawn up, so that's something to talk about in your ordinance change in July. You need to get a requirement in there that deed should be reviewed by the solicitor to make sure that any conditions that were required are in the deed.
I agree, because people come to us and want us to enforce deed covenants and restrictions, we have nothing to do with those.
Right.
But if it's us and our stormwater control imposing that requirement,
it's no different than the, when you're doing on lot, our terms and conditions for our auction and transfer through to the deed, that if they wanna do a septic system, they gotta go to DEP and they gotta get their engineer to design it.
so will that all be in the conditions of the auction?
The conditions of sale will state that they're gonna be required to erect their stormwater management and pay for taps. They gotta pay the taps, we don't pay the
Okay,
taps.
I like that,
We
I like that.
okay. Are these conforming lots gonna drop the value of what you see out there being sold elsewhere? They will be under that number. but they will be under that number because you need to add that cost to them. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
And-
instead of
and-
between
and-
finding a lot that needs sand
Yeah.
on, that you can pay a $5,000 tap fee, it's $15,000 difference,
Yeah, so,
but.
Yeah,
one of the
but
things
I would,
wanted to
I would
point out
really
here-
like the terms, to have a copy of the terms of the auction, just so I could see that that's in there, that people can't come to me when they come for their deed and say,
right,
or for their permit and say, I have to do what? 'Cause that's what I'm running into right now.
So that's something, that's easy enough to add to the deed. I have a note, in the record notes here, addressing the stormwater in the on-lot, that lays out all the terms, conditions, just how many square feet of impervious are allowed and everything. So it's really a matter of picking that up, putting it on the deed as well.
Okay.
But that's there so that anytime anybody comes in for a building permit, whether it be next year or 10 years down the road, with a lot out of here, you can open up the plan and you see exactly how many square feet were approved.
Mhm.
And you can look and say, well, you're doing a 50 by 50 house, that's 2,500, it says right here 24. You have to go talk to our engineer, just make that a little bigger. All right, so that way it's covenanted for the township, so you always know exactly what's there.
Okay.
No tennis courts,
Well, I mean, you're closer with me. You know, it's my position. Because all of those add-on lots on the preliminary plan are connected to something that makes them conforming. They may end up in the final plan being connected to something else that makes them conforming, but they will be conforming at the end.
Yeah, I would say, get Todd's input on it and Drew's input on it, and bring us the results at the next meeting. That's what it sounds like. Would there be an issue that you could ask Fee-Skish, I guess is what we're calling it, permission that I could walk the property?
I
you have
don't-
me, I have a contract signed with him to sell.
Okay, so I've asked him after the meeting closes,
Yeah.
if he can make a contact.
Yeah,
All right, very good.
Or, you know, if you want to walk it in your capacity as chair of the planning commission, then you do something ask right now. If it's on personal, I would say you should ask after the meeting.
No, it's not personal, it's actually about what we're going to look at here. It's
Yeah.
because I know,
Oh,
like
then-
Dan lives right near me, and we've talked about going up, take a look at it and such,
feel
because
free
this
to
is
do it.
real.
I have it under contract to sell,
Okay.
so,
You're allowed to give that permission.
absolutely.
and there's EMS concerns
Yeah,
from Harvey's perspective as well.
yeah, and I'll let them know that
Being part of that.
the planning commission's gonna come out and stomp around. We use that term, stomp around.
There you
When you go out, take this plan out. Make sure it shows everything exactly as it say with the contours will help you, you know, see your tree
go.
lines,
Were you,
steep slopes.
were you out in the property?
I've been out around the front. I did not truck down through here. Tyler from my
Did you?
office did.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you kick any deer out?
there's lots of deer there.
Because
You know,
there's old
little
apple
piece of
trees
ground.
and stuff.
The
right
apple
through
trees
our
are in there,
stall.
and they had the brush cleaned off about that high. It was easy to get through someplace, you
Okay,
know, plenty of deer there,
Okay.
but no place to shoot,
right,
you know.
Archery.
Things like this.
Yeah.
okay.
But,
Can I,
Thank you very much for your time.
Hey,
can I get a
Alan,
copy of this?
thank you,
So
guys.
you're
Thanks
giving-
for-
I hope you didn't hold you up too long.
Yeah, Something
Good night,
else to
Alan.
consider.
Thanks for
Good
your
night,
input.
thank you.
So look at that mess over there.
Yeah, well, this is easy, I printed out this over there.
I don't know if there's a way to, see, the trick of it is, if somebody's bringing in plans and they think you're gonna sign, they gotta bring the 10 or the 8, whatever it is.
We were all
They say,
set.
I don't know if there's some way to put it in, like tonight, I'm not giving you 8 with my application, because it's a waste of paper, I'm not asking for it
Yeah.
yet.
Well, we're also reviewing that too, because that's one of the ordinances that we're reviewing, because when you do the math, I've talked to like Howard Chaddock.
You just don't
If
need it.
there's no roads,
Yeah,
he doesn't want one. If, with the fire company, if it's just splitting a lot and it's gonna be assigned an address through 9/11, you know, you guys are more interested in actual building plans, particularly from,
maybe what we
Commercial.
can do is put in the ordinance upon the initial application, provide blank copies upon receiving all outside agency approvals or township staff approvals, bring 10 full sets signed and sealed for a major, 5 for a minor, or something like that.
Yeah, we definitely did take a
And
look
I'll
at
keep
that.
hugging Steve, the
What is
government
this
director.
for?
It does
You have something for us, Captain?
Yeah.
Big scanner.
Well, that's what, you know, I have a black and white plotter, but if you want my plans in color, I'll be happy to take a donation from the township and then start providing them in color.
We've seen a crayon sketch plan, so don't think we can't do that. My check, there's nothing to talk about there yet?
No, I'm ready.
Oh, it is ready?
Nobody was here.
Nobody's here, but
What do we got?
there's the packet for that.
You can sign these.
We won't sign them until we get. Are these 100%? We're waiting for, isn't there Bill Breyer we're waiting for?
Yeah.
Right.
Mark, can I get a copy of that letter, since I don't have one? You have it digitally? The review letter?
Yeah, we can't sign that, so
Can't send it till we have the plan, the final,
send from our bills.
yeah, the motion is made for one or the other.
Thank you.
No, we approved Lebo pending, no, we have Bill Brothers. It's, Ralpho.
Right, we need what do you have here? This Lebo?
That's Lebo. Lebo.
Oh,
they
it's
have
all
everything.
good.
We have-
Legal, good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so it's a second.
Helfrich.
Okay.
We need the non-building declaration, which is the sewer thing. He has everything else. If we get that, I can put it in the packet and we can recommend approval. If we don't, it doesn't go on.
This is my check.
Yeah, this is mine.
Was there any,
That's my check packet.
did we do anything on this?
I do not believe we started a checklist on this. Get through the check.
The developer is?
Michael and Joyce, my check.
Auto my check.
About that.
Submitted by Rinkish. Type of submission? Final?
This is a final for a minor.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we need
Prepared by a surveyor engineer as required. How about the glasses? It's getting too late at night for me to focus. All right. What do we have here? Mark, this is one large parcel being broken into
that.
three?
Into three.
Okay, no proposed streets or culverts, designs, et cetera?
Nope.
Okay, setback lines are there, north arrow. Okay, all right. Don't have a street numbering system. Engineering plans, 1 inch equals 10 feet or 1 inch equals 100 feet? 1 inch equals 50? Okay. Name and address of the developer? Name and address of the owner together with a copy of the recorded deed.
Yes, we have the deed.
North arrow scale and date.
Date
Name and seal of the engineer or surveyor.
here. Oh, Larry.
Location map showing the vicinity. Track map. Field topo, contour lines.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the benchmark.
That's my next question.
seeing it, I'm not seeing where he references what he used. I don't see USGS, I don't see.
Some reference points.
We can ask Todd to make that bold in the ordinance.
Mhm.
Bold font.
Okay, I don't see it anywhere.
No benchmark.
And no reference to source data, I don't think.
Yeah, there's no source for the contour lines.
Well, actually, it says approximate topo, yeah. It is, right there. Approximate topo obtained from LiDAR data downloaded from
Okay.
PSDA webpage, not surveyed.
I'll have to ask Drew if that's one of the ones that we,
I'd say I wasn't happy with the response, it seemed to compound the ambiguity with
Right.
a little bit more ambiguity.
yeah. But I don't see a benchmark.
It was like one step out of the weeds, but not really anywhere near the field's edge. I don't see anything, but somebody was here to actually point it out to us.
Okay, so we.
Number of
need-
acres in the original tract and in the proposed development, number of lots, zoning classification, type of proposed development.
Okay, so they get our. Parent tracks at 1.4.
See, this is where I think we discussed this in the past. Once one date element's missing, I don't know why I think we have to go through. it's
Well, if we find this, if we stop now and we say we need a benchmark and a source, and then
Find something else.
find something, and then we say, and we stop, and there's something else, now we find it next month.
Well, as you guys have stated ad nauseum, it's printed and published,
I know.
so I guess my bleeding heart is not so bleeding anymore.
Lots consecutively numbered, duly noted.
Personally,
Lot 1, 2, and 3?
well, they have an A, B, and residential.
A, B, and residential. Existing proposed boundary lines, building setbacks, lot dimensions, lot areas, any easements.
There's an overhead utility easement.
Okay.
That is the only easement I see.
Location of all existing proposed streets, existing and proposed. Good?
Good.
Location of any existing body of water, floodplain, streams, water courses, wetlands, sinkhole,